Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Happy New Year, everyone. I'm going to begin with district announcements. The Tri-City School and our community news. I would like to read a statement that was posted by the Tri-PBA President-elect Nick Laviano and sent to me. Tri-PBA and the Troy United Fire, the UFA, stepped up to sponsor the Troy High Flying Horses football team in this year's upcoming 7-on-7 tournament. Due to COVID, fundraising was extremely difficult for the Troy High Football Parents Club, and we were more than honored to help out the team. As a former player of Troy football and an alumni of Troy High School, it is an honor and a pleasure to make sure these players get to play in this tournament and feel like kids again playing the game they love. That was sent in by President Nick Laviano. In other holiday news, the Troy High Band learned 3 holiday songs which they performed for the middle school the day before break. The middle school band performed holiday songs on handbells, and the 6th grade choir learned sign language for Silent Night. I would also like to say a special thank you to all of our administration, staff, faculty, and board members that played a huge part in the success of the ALP Giving Tree celebration this year. A special shout out go to our community members that donated to such a worthy event. Also, I was just handed this for district announcements. The New York State Public High School Athletic Association has announced its fall 2020 Scholar Athlete teams, and it includes everyone participating in Troy teams. Go Troy. These teams consist of boys and girls soccer, cross country, girls swimming, golf, and girls tennis. In order to receive Scholar Athlete recognition, the team's average GPA for 75% of the roster must be greater or equal to 90.0. Congratulations to all our outstanding scholars. That's what it is. And now we'll go, since there's no public input, we're going to go over to Mr. Carmelo for a COVID update.
Okay, thank you, and Happy New Year, everybody. So it was a busy break for us, COVID-wise. Over the holiday break, there were 24 total positives. That consisted of 10 staff members and 14 students. The good thing over the break is that it doesn't involve any contact tracing or any other exposures, because obviously people are home. That's continued over the last few days. Again, most of it is people that haven't come in yet to school because they've had exposure themselves or they're symptomatic. We had our first one that's going to involve some student contact tracing in a long time, and that happened literally about 2 hours ago. We had a bus monitor who got tested, and this afternoon in a rapid test that was positive. So we got to go back to a couple of our buildings runs from this week, and the principals started working on that as I was coming over here. It looks like it's about a dozen students at 14 and a dozen students at the middle school. Our total cases to date, 71 total positives, and I'll send this to the board in the Friday report. 51 students have tested positive, and 20 staff members have tested positive total since the beginning of the school year. The on-site students are 32, the remote ones are 19. But again, a lot of those on-site ones were over break where they didn't really lead to any exposure. And then the staff, all the staff are obviously on-site. So 71 total, 24 of that over the break. The quarantine numbers, lower than they were. Again, there's not a lot of quarantining when we hadn't been in school in a week and a half. So we have 72 students on our quarantine list right now. and 34 staff members. You may have seen over the past weekend, the Albany County Executive came out and made a recommendation that schools close. Got a little backlash from that. They talked about a superintendent meeting that was happening over the weekend, which did happen, and we had one in Rensselaer County and Questar as well, to just try to talk about it. But really, I think the data, I reported the data last time, the infection rates that are transmitted in school are very, very low, and really it's safe for people to be here. The issue right now is the outside of school, the household exposures and spread. As one person in a household gets it, it tends to go through the house. And so we do have, again, 34 staff quarantined and 72 students quarantined. Almost all of those are due to things that are happening outside of the school. Two other things I wanted to talk about. One is testing. So you may have seen over the last month or so, it's built up. And I've written in the Friday report to the board, Governor Cuomo's micro-cluster plan. He's talked about yellow zones and orange zones and red zones. And that's based on, he keeps changing the metrics and the parameters, but overall it's based on the percentage of positives that you're having in a region. That could be a zip code, it could be a neighborhood, it could be a bigger, like, whole capital region. It's not really set in stone what those clusters would consist of. But it started out being anything over 3%, then with 5%, and now it's, I think he mentioned 9% this past week. Well, the capital region is in that area of 9 to 10%. So we want to make sure we're ready for that if and when it does come. And so we're putting a testing plan together. There's a training that our nurses are doing this week. Mr. Hotelling and I also did that training just so we could know what it would entail. Our nurses will actually do the rapid test, swabbing the nose. It's not the deep swab. The training was really clear. It's less than an inch into the lower portion of the nostril. It's really not very invasive, and the results come out in 15 minutes. So some schools are doing that on the weekend, some are doing it as people come to school, and then if they're positive, they go back home. Some are doing it as they leave school, so that if they're positive, they don't come back the next day. We'll put the logistics of our plan together. You have to test 20% of your in-person population. So as you know from our previous conversations, we roughly 40% of our people are remote. So we take the number of people that are in person, that's students and staff, and we'd have to do 20%, to test 20% of those over a 2-week period. So if we did it every morning or every afternoon and did it in each school, it's not so bad. It ends up being less than 7 or 8 people a day at each school. If we try to do it, get more done on a Monday morning, for instance, then we could do more than 10 and take a little longer, then maybe not do it on a different day. So the details we're still working out, and certainly I'll share with the board and the community once those details are done. But we're working this week on a consent form, so families can consent to having their son or daughter tested, and sending something out to the staff so that they're aware of it as well. So that's all in the works in the next day or two, depending on other things that seem to be happening every day. I'm going to try to get to that so we can get that consent form out and get the letter out so we can get that plan together. The other one is vaccines. So again, I'm sure you've seen a lot of talk about vaccines happening in the hospitals and nurses and all medical professionals. Well, school nurses were added just recently, within the last week, I think officially. School nurses and OTPTs and medical professionals that work in the district will be able to get vaccinated. So I have my weekly meeting with the nurses tomorrow. I've already sent them an email showing them a couple of places they can get vaccinated. Columbia and Greene counties are doing it through the Department of Health. Rensselaer County will be doing it. They're not ready yet this week, but they will be doing it in the next couple of weeks. But there are some sites that you can go to. Albany Med has a site in Manans, and there are a couple other places that our nurses and our OTPTs are planning on going to get vaccinated. And then we've been asked to give a list of high-risk employees, those with medical conditions, because that will be the next wave of people that are eligible. Right now, it's only the medical professionals. They're calling those 1As, I believe is the term. But then the 1Bs would be like people at health risk. And so, you know, if we have some staff that fall in that category, they'd be able to be the next people vaccinated. But, you know, the good news is the vaccinations happen over the next 2, 3, 4 months. You know, hopefully there's light at the end of the tunnel and there's an end to this thing. We can get back to all the great stuff that we were doing before. That's my update. Questions?
Thank you, Mr. Carmelo. November financials, Ms. Schweitzer.
Yes, sir. Can't hear you, Sam.
Can you turn your volume on?
Mike?
Expenditures are high. Most of that is due to cleaning up accounts payable and purchasing and paying our outstanding invoices that have been sitting there and just timing. The revenues are lower than last year, but most of that is due to the general aid payments that come in. They're taking into consideration the CARES Act money now, so we're not getting that money in it. So we're not worried about that. State payments have come in at 100% at this point. Especially, we've started to receive payments for all the grants, and everything has moved to pending payment. So that's good news. All accounts have been reconciled. So thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Moving on to action items. Consent agenda, superintendent recommendations, unclassified consent agenda items 1 through 8. Second. Thank you. Discussion. All those in favor? Opposed? Classified items 1 and 2. Second. All those, discussion? All those in favor? Superintendent recommendations programs, consent agenda items 1 and 2.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Superintendent recommendations, business finance, consent agenda items 1 and 2.
Second.
Discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Board resolution, nomination to Questar Board. Be it resolved that the qualifications of Mary Morrow Giroux have been reviewed by the enlarged City School District of Troy Board of Education and deemed qualified to serve on the Questar 3 Rensselaer Columbia Green BOCES Board. And it is further resolved that the Board approves the nomination of Mary Morrow Giroux to Questar 3 Rensselaer Columbia Green BOCES Board from July 1st, 2021 through June 30th, 2024.
Second.
Any discussion? On discussion, I just wish Mary good luck. And thank you for doing what she does. All those in favor? Opposed? Future meetings, January 20th, 2021. I gotta get used to saying 2021. I'm not, that's tough. At 6 p.m. here at the middle school. February 3rd, 2021 at 6:30 here at the middle school. February 24th, 2021 at 6 p.m. here at the middle school. Is there anything else? Okay, well, welcome to 2021 and our new year. Motion on the floor to adjourn.
Second.
Discussion? You want to talk about adjourning? All those in favor? Opposed? Have a good night. Stay healthy.